Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are. I'm Dr. Elton Ngipie. I'm the CEO of Referral, and today we are here with another episode discussing our medical referral systems. Today with me is Dr.
Ekins Kuzi, the Chief Information Officer of Referral.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to have you on today, Dr. Ekins. I'm really grateful. So today we're going to be discussing the current referral letter, what we use to refer patients from one facility to another. Basically, this is the referral letter. It's divided into components. If you look on the screen, you can see the various components. You have the referral facility, where this referral is coming from. There are components that actually give you details about that. You have the patient's background, which you'll be diving into. And then we have the details concerning the referral, that is the referring diagnosis, and you name the rest. We'll go into that in details. And then we have the comment section, wherein referring doctors will have to put in his name and then make some statement concerning the referral if it hasn't been captured in there yet. And then we're going to look at the receiving facility, what they have to do. We also going to look at the problems associated with this particular referral letter. So we'll discuss them in depth. Thank you. So now let's look at the referral in details. Then is the referring facility. If you are referring from your facility, the receiving facility need to know where you are referring this patient from. So they ask for your facility name. So that particular portion, your facility name will be there. You have to give your facility address to know where this patient is coming from and where this patient is actually going. And then you need to include a date, which is very, very for medical legal stuff. You need to know when the patient was actually referred, and then also the time. Afterwards, you move downwards on a referral form. It asks for the patient's background. So with regards to the patient's background, there are details they're asking you for. Like, for example, the patient's phone name, you need to have that captured. You need to get NHIS number, which is very important, especially if this patient would benefit from the health insurance. And then we have the, of course, sex. We have male and females. We have age. So the age need to capture how old is this patient, because you need the patient age. You need that if you are giving medication, what dosage. For example, if you are referring a pediatric case, you need to know as in the patient age. That certain medication you can give to certain patient. And then once we come down to the patient's contact, you need to get the patient's contact, who to contact, just in case you want to know further. So you input that particular details in the patient's background. Now we move on to the next section, which is very interesting. This is the portion that has to do with the referral details itself. So this is where they are asking you for the hospital. Where are you referring this patient? So for example, if I'm at Wejagbawi, I like that hospital a lot. I'm referring from Wejagbawi. They're asking me now, which hospital are you referring this patient to? So you should have the idea of where you want to send this patient. That's where, we'll discuss that further in another episode. So a lot of doctors don't know exactly, where to refer that patient. They have one hospital in mind, which is sometimes overburdened. But you need to indicate that. And after you input that hospital, they ask you for the referring diagnosis. After all your investigations, you need to know what is happening to this patient and why are you referring this patient. So you put in the referring diagnosis. And when you look at the portion of the referral letter where you input the referring diagnosis, it's really scanty. You can give as saying a lot of information concerning the patient. So you just have to summarize, as a maximum summarization. You put in the referring diagnosis and the reason for referring. Why are you referring this patient? Okay, for example, you don't have an orthopedic service. You have a patient with fracture, but you don't have any orthopedic service or any orthopedic surgeon at your facility. So you give the reason. So after giving a reason, you need to provide the presenting complaint. How did the patient present to your facility? So you need to know as in, when you look on a referral, it's just something scanty. So they are expecting you to maybe write one or two. Meanwhile, there are patients who come with so many presenting complaints you need to capture, and then the duration at which they are been having these presenting complaints. What is so interesting is the bidding portion that they give for the examination funding. So we realize that all they're actually asking you for is temperature, SpO2, the patient's BP, and pulse rate. Basically, that's what we usually write in that space. For examination. Meanwhile, there are things when you examine, like you need to back your diagnosis. So we don't have the luxuries to kind of like input most of those examination findings that will support our referring diagnosis. You've done specific labs like ESR, you've done ultrasound, maybe hair CT. Where will you put that? Look at it. You just look at the referral. Look at the space that is provided. They are asking for a relevant lab, but I mean, so many labs are relevant. So if you are just inputting one lab, I mean, what happened to the rest? And sometimes too, when they go to the receiving facility, they only look at those labs, and the rest of the lab, what it was done, they just that the patient have to go and do all those labs over. So that's where the problem usually is. And then treatment. Let's say this patient has been to your facility for about a week. You manage him for so and so case, and then you do certain lab, and it comes back with another diagnosis that require referral. And they're asking you for the treatment. You can't put in all the treatment that you've actually like been given this patient. So you have to put in specific, and the area that is provided is very scanty. It's a problem. So you realize people just put in what they feel is necessary, and once it gets to the receiving facility, I mean, they just disregard it and then do their whole labs all over again, start another treatment. Sometimes the referral letter, they only look at the referring diagnosis, that's it. Let's look at another component on the referral where they ask for comments. So for the comments, it's like you are telling the person receiving this patient, hey, take care of this patient. This patient has so and so. Please continue further management. So there are comment section, but the comment section too is it's very scanty. Like
right.
how many things can you write in there to kind of like a clinical decision? It's something very scanty. You can really base your clinical decision on that. So you find out that once the patient take the referral letter, that is like they're going to start all over.
That usually happens. Just to add to that, that usually happens. So most of the time, they just bring the referral letter. Probably what you just need is they use that referral letter to open the card for the patient, and then the physician just look at it, like diagnosis, and they throw it out with us. So for instance, on the investigation part where you mentioned, so for instance, let's say you are referring a patient to a facility because of a neurosurgical, you want a neurosurgical consult on this patient. Probably was involved in an RT, you're suspecting a head injury, and you've done a head CT scan, probably shown that there's some severe head injury, and you're referring this patient, for a neurosurgical consult. Now, for instance, let's say, most basic labs probably would have been done before the CT scan was done. So probably they did an FBC. But now this patient is being referred to a facility where you're referring diagnosis severe head injury, following an RTA, and you want to convince the doctor that this patient has a head injury. So your priority now is to give the CT scan findings, but you are forgetting that you did an FBC. FBC, let's say you did it today, HB was like, let's say 11.5. But then by the time they get to the referral facility, 2 days, maybe the following day, 48 hours time, when they did the FBC, the HB now is 10. It's now 10. Now what has happened? Is it possible that this patient is having an internal bleed? But they don't know that, because they didn't know that the original FBC was 11.5 and has dropped to 10 within the 24-hour period. But you see, you didn't document it because you didn't find it relevant. It's not relevant. You thought it was just head injury, and all that the surgeon need is a head CT report.
If you want your referral to be accepted, you have to do that, because if you don't give what support you'll reject the patient. You need to do everything possible to give what they are looking for, which at times
what they are looking for. Even though we have other information we think we can provide, we don't have this ability to do that. There's no space for us to do that.
You have the comment section, and then there is the section concerning the receiving doctor who need to sign when he receives this patient and document and provide feedback. But it never happens. That's the unfortunate thing. You will never get feedback. In fact, once they are done seeing a referral letter, they will discard it. That's it. So there is no referring database. That's the unfortunate thing. All the referring letter you've been sent, if you ask the particular facility, they won't provide evidence of that. So that's where medical legal issue comes in. Why, if the patient tell you doing some investigation, they want to know when this patient left this facility to this facility, they want to look at the referral letter, what diagnosis was on it. You won't get that detail. So basically, it's not on the system. That's where referral comes in. So we'll get to that. So now let's look at the problem associated with the referral letter. Doctors' handwritings are so terrible. Sometimes you struggle to read referral letters, and because the referral letter is so scanty, people will jam things together to kind of like make some kind of like supporting evidence to back. And when you look at it, you can't read it.
Right.
I mean, I'm a doctor. They are writing I can read, but there are some doctors writing like you just can't read it. So let's look at lack of referral database. I've already mentioned that most of the referral letters are discarded. That's it. And then logistics is very expensive to print out a referral letter. Very, very expensive. Right. Imagine the Ghana healthcare system printing over 2,000 referral book every month. And you have to distribute that to all the district hospitals. You can imagine the logistics, the money that goes into that. What if you have an electronic system that takes over all of the things?
Right.
It will reduce the burden, it will reduce cost, and you name the rest. So there are some times like you look for referral letter you won't get. It's finished.
Yeah.
It's finished. You can imagine. So that one alone can stop the patient from being referred. Why you have to wait, they bring another book before you fill it in. Yeah. Once you are done with that, you need an ambulance to transport the patient.
Right.
And for the ambulance service, right now, from what I learned, there is one district, one ambulance. And for every district, there are 75,000.
That's a minimum. So a minimum of 75,000.
That's a minimum. You can imagine. So there are some districts with more than 75,000. So now you have that, and you have one ambulance service, and you can imagine how many facilities are requesting for that one national ambulance service. So that's where the private ambulance service come in. But most of these private ambulance services, we don't know them as physicians. So what we do know is the national ambulance service, which is readily accessible. But then with the private service, not up to standard. There are some you see they are using ordinary buses. They don't have the equipment that can actually handle an intensive care patient. Like they can't handle it. And then also you have some ambulance services that are private that have all the facilities, but they are very expensive. Right. The patient can kind of like afford. So that's where the problem actually comes. And most of these private ambulance services are cash and carry. So for now, these are the problem with our current referral letter and what it entails.
Once you've identified the problem, solving it is
very, very easy.
It's much easier. And so going forward, we hope that we as a team at Referrals will solve these things.
Thank you so much. That's our referral system. I mean, we all can work together to make it better. That's why we are here. We are problem solvers, we are entrepreneurs, and we are team referrals. So thank you so much. If you have any comment, leave a comment below, or you can send us an email to our email address, and we will address it in subsequent episodes. So thank you so much. It's really been a great day.
Right.
Have a wonderful week, and we hope to see you next week.